Roger Stone here. Your dollars are losing ground, but gold isn't. American Sovereign Bullion helps you protect your wealth through real, tangible assets. Through their nationwide wholesaler network, you get some of the best pricing on gold and silver delivered straight to your door. Since 1912, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to prove its strength. So call 844-272-2428. That's 844-272-2428. Or visit DyingDollar.com to request your free gold and silver guide. That's DyingDollar.com.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Everybody's making little comments. I bought a book today, and I do this because it's fun, and I enjoy it, buying these books from these politicians and then picking them apart and finding the mistakes and the stupidity. And it's a shocking thing that these things are actually even published. But I bought Jill Biden's book just a little while ago at the bookstore, and I got a reaction at the bookstore. I could tell certain people were like, "Oh, hello, nice to see you." Oh, like, I bought a Jill Biden book, like I'm a fellow liberal or something like that. And then I got a couple of nasty comments around here. What the hell are you doing with that thing? Jill Biden, a photoshopped cover. The thing is about, I don't know, maybe 100 or so pages that they stretched into 250. It's a very thin book. The chapters fly by, not in a good way. It's just like arbitrarily, chapter 1, chapter 2. They're all like a couple of pages long. Let's see about the pictures here. Just weird stuff in here already. Let's see. She says in this book, what was that thing about? They're drifting along. Oh, she's really mad at her doctors. At Joe's doctors, they missed the cancer. She really is angry at them. She criticizes them for pages and pages and pages. She won't say it publicly, though. I see her saying something else in public. What else do we got here? She makes a big deal about how she has that teaching job. What was the other thing that I noticed that was kind of dopey? I guess it's not that bad so far. She is very stuck on herself, like most people who have Secret Service. She's always writing about the Secret Service. We told the Secret Service to drop us off here. We told them to do this. We told them to do that. Always bragging about the Secret Service and how much they are in charge. Of course, it's a Biden thing, so they basically brag about all the death in their family, right? They brag about that. Beau, a lot about Beau. Pretty boring, kind of like her. But there was something else. I'll be done with it pretty soon. It's not really worthwhile, but I'm going to find something. Oh, this is good. This is good. Okay, so her mother dies, right? And that's sad, but that's part of life. And, of course, she finds out she's on a jog. She's jogging through the park. Let's see here. On a Saturday morning in October 2008, a month before the election, I was out on a run through Rockford Park in Wilmington. I had a lot on my mind in addition to the campaign. My mother was very ill, and our son Beau was about to go to Iraq. A Secret Service car pulled up beside me. "We got a call. You have to go home." I drove straight to Willow Grove. Okay, Willow Grove is in Pennsylvania. I guess that's home. My mother was dying. All the sisters came to the house. We made funeral arrangements. I stayed home for a couple of days and then resumed the campaign. As soon as my mother's death was announced, Michelle Obama called from the campaign trail. After offering heartfelt condolences, she said, "I'll see you at the funeral." I was overwhelmed by her kindness. I had not gotten to know Michelle when we were both Senate spouses. I lived in Delaware, she lived in Chicago, and we both had full-time jobs plus kids in school, so it was rare that we interacted. What full-time job did she have, Michelle? I don't think she had a full-time job. And also, it wasn't full-time, Jill's job. She taught that 45-minute class like twice a week. In spite of our husbands being on the same ticket, and in spite of my admiration of her, we had not spent much time together, and so I hesitated before I spoke. "Michelle, I don't know how to tell you this," I said, "but I have 4 sisters. The funeral is going to be so hard on them, and it has to be about my sisters losing a mother. It can't be just me, right? I'm afraid that if you're there, the press will treat it as a major event and pull focus away from my sisters. Your offer is so incredibly generous, but I think it's better if you don't come. Does that make sense?" Saying all that felt awkward, but of course, Michelle instantly put me at ease. I totally get it, she said. Wow, she must have been relieved. No more had to be said. As someone who'd done her best to cultivate privacy for her own family, she just knew. Michelle just got it. She understood. Who the hell tells anybody not to come to a funeral? We want the attention to be on us. Wait. What did she say here? I think it's better you don't come. I have 4 sisters. The funeral is going to be so hard on them, and it has to be about my sisters losing a mother. Maybe it's just about the mother? I don't know. What are you worried about? Not enough camera shots? Isn't that really a strange thing to say? Anyway, and I'm only a couple of pages in. Very flawed woman. I've already scanned it for my name. I'm not in there. I've scanned it for a couple of things. Not in there. Bill Stevens and her ex-husband is not in there. Should be in there. I know she knows about that. This is a money grab, a cheap little money grab. I am really surprised how thin and silly this book is. You know, if you got something to say, you gotta. I bought the book. It's $30. Wait, is it $30? 35. I bought this and something else, and all came to $100. How much was this damn thing anyway? $32, $45 in Canada. That's too much money these days. All right, what else? Hey, the Scott Pelley thing is great. Scott Pelley, I said it out loud that this guy's got to go because he's too pompous and too weird. Scott Pelley? He is the Ted Baxter, the original Ted Baxter, maybe. Cut 11, please. Cut 11. The CBS News guy has been fired.
Does the dysfunction that we've seen in Congress increase the danger in the world?
Ooh, he's asking Joe Biden, does it the dysfunction in Congress increase the danger in the world? Very, very deep. Scott Pelley has been fired for insubordination. You know, the new boss arrives. I found out the boss invited Scott Pelley to dinner. Scott Pelley on the 60 Minutes. You know, it's like this special little fiefdom inside CBS. They think they're untouchable. They think they're better than everybody else. It's just a stupid show that comes on after football. They make all kinds of mistakes. They're totally fake news, but they're stuck on themselves. Scott Pelley is stuck on himself, by the way. This guy, the new boss, comes in, tries to make nice, and this guy embarrasses him in front of a room full of people saying, you don't belong here. Barry Weiss doesn't belong here. You have no credentials for this job. Scott Pelley, what credentials do you have for your job? Don't get so stuck on yourself. Now listen to this. This is a problem. This is a trend with this guy. He's always bitching about management. I got him on tape here a bunch of years ago, yelling and screaming about how nasty the people were at work. You can't say this about your boss and expect to keep working there. Cut 12.
And Scott, while I have you, a question about CBS, your day job there. 18 months of scandals and shakeups at CBS News and the rest of the company. What has it been like for you and your colleagues? Now, of course, there's a new news president, a new boss at 60 Minutes. Everything's changed.
Well, we've been through a dark period of the last several years of incompetent management and sort of a hostile work environment.
Hostile work environment. And he goes on from there. Cut 13, please. Cut 13.
You say you lost your evening news job because you were complaining about hostile work environments?
That's true. Several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I went to the president of the news division and explained to him that this hostile work environment couldn't go on for women and men. And he told me if I kept agitating about that internally, then I'd lose my job. And I went to his boss, who told me that he didn't share my concerns. And so, having exhausted the possibilities in the news division, I went to the chairman of the CBS Corporation, who listened to me very concerned for an hour, asked me some penetrating questions about what was going on. I didn't hear back from him, but in the next opportunity in my contract, I was let go from the evening news.
Lucky you kept your job. And he put out this big pompous statement. You can look at my Instagram, by the way, in my ex. I'm ripping on this guy, at Greg Kelly USA. Congratulations to Spencer, what's his name again? Spencer Pratt, coming in second place. That's huge. All right, that means he's going to be in the runoff, and that's going to be great. He's going to go up against Karen Bass. We think he's got it. We don't know for sure yet. And also Steve Hilton from Fox News, formerly of Fox News. All those candidates, 67 candidates, whatever it was, and he's number one. Good for him. Good for him. Now he's still got to deal with, there's going to be another election, and he's probably going to be up against Becerra. Thank God they got rid of Tom Steyer. But that's exciting. And you know what? You got to be, that should excite us about the midterms. There's a full-time campaign to make MAGA demoralized about everything. Do not fall for it. I've been here before, man. What was 2021, 2022 like for us who were supporters of Trump? Man, oh man, they criminalized us. They criminalized Trump. It was a dark, dark time. And we made it through, and you know what happened next. So it's great. It's absolutely great. This is, I saw a poll today also, a generic matchup between a Republican member of Congress and a Democrat member of Congress, and Republicans win. All right? People forget, or they want us to forget, their crazy radical agenda and these maniacs who are they're pulling off the street. You see this Graham Plattner? I'm on to this guy. What a great big phony baloney weirdo. PTSD, my ass. Post-traumatic stress disorder. How about pretty typical crap that happens on a daily basis, or pretty typical stuff, you could say, on a daily basis? It's no big deal, but listen to this. You know, certain people, liberal women from the New York Times swoon when they hear this. And a lot of people will just keep their mouths shut. You know, Chuck Schumer doesn't know how to tell this guy to get the hell out of the office. But if he did this in front of me, cut the crap, knock it off. Are you crying for real? I would laugh at him. This guy sits down in front of the New York Times, Graham Plattner, running for the U.S. Senate, and this is how he got to be a thing, all right? Moaning and bitching about his PTSD that isn't there. Cut 7, please. Cut 7.
I was also diagnosed with PTSD, and for me, you know, I can remember exactly what happened and that caused the sort of cascade. What was it for you?
It was 2006, and it wasn't a specific moment. I'll just be. I think that's not actually true.
Making it up.
Oh man.
Cry.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I laugh at that kind of weakness. I do. You're a man. When did this happen? When were men encouraged to cry in public? And I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened. I know it did not happen before Vietnam. And people like John Kerry and the rest of them, they made this somehow fashionable. And this guy talking like that gives him an excuse to do all kinds of things, to get the crazy Nazi tattoo, to take off his shirt, to grab women's chests without their permission, all kinds of crazy stuff. Oh, it's my PTSD. Hey, if anybody could make a case for PTSD, I could. I could point to a couple of things, but you know what? I don't have PTSD. I've had a couple of bad days. You know, you get over it. You move on. We're built that way. We're equipped that way. You know, I actually did a deep dive. You ever hear about those teachers who get in trouble for hooking up with students or something like that? And I'm like, oh my God. And often they're married and often they have kids. And I'm like, how do they get through the day after that? Now, granted, obviously that's a horrific thing. You can't do that. I mean, there are certain scenarios where society somehow thinks it's less severe. For instance, if the student is male and say 16 or 17 and the woman is 25, you know, it doesn't seem as bad. Whatever, that's sexist, whatever, but that's what it is. But then I read, okay, the woman is married and they have kids. This is possibly one of the worst things that could ever happen to a family, yet somehow they get through it. People get through things. Victims get through things. Criminals get through things. Everybody, we're designed that way. And somehow things move on, except PTSD. We have made it so fashionable, you can wallow in it. You're encouraged to wallow in it. And we've made a new category of disabled veteran. I told you I was at a veterans event, and they had a lot of allegedly disabled people there. And I couldn't help it. I saw this very, able-bodied looking person, and I said, so forgive me, but how were you hurt? Or where were you hurt? That's what I said. Where were you hurt? Like, where? She said, in Korea. I'm like, Korea? Huh. What, did you get run over by a tank or something? Did you fall out? Your parachute not open? What happened to you? Oh, PTSD. PTSD in Korea? It doesn't, I don't know. What, did you miss American food? What was the problem? I just don't. All right. More importantly, Henry Novak, the British kid, is getting more and more attention. The family is. Henry Novak was stabbed to death on the streets of Southampton, England, and he was treated as the perpetrator, as the assailant, because he was falsely accused of using racist terminology. Absolutely amazing what happened to him. And that Elon Musk would be the only guy in the world talking about it. Thank God for Elon Musk. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Sacco and Feliz, New York and New Jersey's premier attorneys at law. Their team brings decades of experience across a wide range of practice areas. Whatever life brings, they're your legal team. From everyday matters to complex cases, they've got you covered with the experience you need and the results you want. Because when life gets complicated, they make it simple. SaccoFeliz.com. SACCOFILLAS.com. 2 C's, 2 L's.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Most people support you 90% of the time, just not the 10% you need them for. If we're going to be on side, then we're on side 100% of the time. It's the job of the governor to stand between danger and Californians. And I mean it. And to make sure that people are safe and to protect them from all the malign influences in this world. And I take that super, super, super seriously for you. And I'm going to hope like heck that you don't just make state, but you do really well there.
Thank you.
Deal?
Deal.
Deal. Congratulations on what you've done as a mom, and congratulations on what you've done as an athlete.
I guess he's not going to be able to go to the state finals. Tom Steyer to watch his little fetish there, the trans individual compete. Tom Steyer, one of the reasons why he lost, I think, is because that was his closing message. Trans issues in high school, making sure that boys are in the girls' locker rooms. That's what Tom Steyer, that's what the Democrat Party is all about. And as people get discouraged about whether it's the Iran war or gas prices, there's some more important things actually than that stuff. It's the destruction, the intended destruction of our civil society by Democrats. And I still think that there are more people in America who don't want that than people who do want that. So good for Tom Steyer losing. I'm glad that happened. Looks like he is gone. And just a quick nod to Ronald Reagan, as there's so much competition to be the next governor of California. This governor of California, almost 50 years ago when he was sworn in, this is what he said. You know what he said? He wanted to protect children. We've gone from Ronald Reagan, his priority is protecting children, to Tom Steyer, whose kind of subject of desire is children. Very strange. Ronald Reagan, the governor, back in 1967, cut 16.
But just as we assume a responsibility to guard our young people up to a certain age from the possible harmful effects of alcohol and tobacco, for example, so I believe we have a right and a responsibility to protect them from the even more harmful effects of exposure to smut and pornography. We can and must and will frame legislation which will accomplish this purpose without endangering freedom of speech or press.
How about that? And now we've gone from that to Drag Time Story Hour for children, paid for in some of the biggest cities in the country by the people who live there. These are city programs. I can't believe it. Sometimes I think maybe I should be a conscientious objector when it comes to paying taxes in New York, because some of my dollars are going to a Drag Time Story Hour. It's a real thing. It's not notional. A lot of liberals out there, they think, well, this stuff will never actually impact anybody. It's just ways that we can feel better about ourselves. It's all decorative. It's decorative. It's not real. No, it's real. It is real. Now, yeah, you decorate your little resume with that. You decorate yourself, the social status, right? You're into that stuff. It's called a virtue signal. Hey, another thing about Scott Pelley I noticed, he was wearing in his, hey, you want to hear? Let's see. Well, how bad was this guy? We have him ripping on America in that thing. Just an overall pompous fool. Here we go. Cut 17, if you don't mind. Scott Pelley. You know, dude, you're the anchor man. You're an anchor man. Just relax. Get over yourself. Who the hell does this guy think he is? He's sounding the alarm about Trump's America at Wake Forest University last year. Cut 17.
This moment, this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak in America.
Just, hey man, you'd still have that show if you just gave the new boss, you know, the benefit of the doubt and a little bit of courtesy. All right, he's trying to make this into a big freedom of speech thing. Where is that? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send this to, you know what? I'll copy and paste it and put it into ChatGPT. He put out the most, how shall I say, amateurish message on Instagram. Statement of Scott Pelley. There has never been anything in America like 60 Minutes. Now, what does that even mean? There are all kinds of things like 60 Minutes. Oh, every network has one. You got Dateline, you got Frontline, you got, what do they have? 48 Hours. They got a news magazine show. You think that's special? The guy who started the show, a man named Don Hewitt, who I met in my life several times, actually, and his wife, Marilyn. Very good people. Well, I can't speak for him. He was very nice, but anyway, he said he stole the idea from Life magazine. He stole it from Life magazine. Let's see here. The Sunday Tradition is the most successful program of any kind in its history. That's a bad sentence right there. The Sunday Tradition is the most successful program. Okay, I guess you're referring to 60 Minutes. You actually have to be explicit. You have to say, for more than a decade, its innovative growth on every major online platform has extended its reach to countless millions around the world. Countless millions? No, we actually have metrics and we know how to count that. We know, we absolutely know down to the decimal point how many people are watching or not watching. That's one of the problems here. And you're spinning the numbers. Everybody plays games with the ratings. This spring, at the end of our 58th season, 60 Minutes grew rapidly with an unheard of 9% jump in viewers on CBS. You know what? They always say it. They always do that. When they're going to brag about ratings, they'll take a high single-digit number because it's, quite frankly, not. If they go 10%, then people are going to work to debunk it. Right? Then people are really going to look. 9%, nobody's going to care. You can always spin these numbers if you want. Let's see here. 60 has been the number one program in America for decades because our beloved audience, this guy doesn't love his audience. He has contempt for the audience. He looks down on the audience. That's the problem with you people. You think you're better than the audience, your beloved audience. Your beloved audience. How do you know? They find integrity, quality, and humanity in our stories. You guys lie all the time. I'll never forget poor General Westmoreland. Anybody remember that? When stewardship of the program passed to my colleagues and me, our responsibility was to expand energetically into a new age of media technology while preserving the values of our audience expects. Now the new owner of our network is casting this legend aside, apparently to curry a moment of favor with the Trump administration. Let me ask you something, Scott. Did you ever try to curry a moment of favor, say, I don't know, with the Obama administration? Did that ever happen? How about with the Clinton administration? Did that ever happen? Just once? Just once? How about this? Were you trying to curry favor with Joe Biden when you asked this, what we would call a throwaway question? Does nothing for anybody other than to put you in a good light in front of your subject, then President Biden. Cut 11, Scott Pelley, in that pompous, over-the-top, anchorman-y voice, showing off in front of Joe Biden. Cut 11.
Does the dysfunction that we've seen in Congress increase the danger in the world?
Oh, yeah. The dysfunction in Congress has increased the danger in the world. You know, I can bitch and moan about Congress, but geez, give me a. All right, let's see here. The waste is heartbreaking. Now, what the hell does that mean? Now the new owner of our network is casting this legend aside, apparently to curry favor with the Trump administration. The waste is heartbreaking. I don't know what that means. Wait, you're wasting the legend? The owner is casting this legend aside. The legend. Well, legend is half BS, you know. A legend isn't like, yeah, a legend is mythology. You see, you're buying your own mythology there, Scott. Another issue. Last month, 60 Minutes lost its DNA. Lost your DNA? This is just bad writing on top of it. Lost its DNA when our entire senior leadership and two of our best on-air correspondents were cruelly fired without cause. Dude, this is life in the big city. This is cutbacks. Ever see that movie Broadcast News? Everybody get fired in the movie. It's in 1987. I was in high school. I remember watching the movie with my dad and my mom, and we talked about, like, that happens in the real world. It doesn't happen in government. It doesn't happen in civil service. You come in one day, it just doesn't happen that way. It's life you've chosen, buddy. Let's see here. Good people were silenced because they stood up for our audience. No, they were silenced because they cost too much and had become high maintenance and were recalcitrant. They weren't good corporate citizens like you. They stood for fairness against the forces of political bias. They stood for professionalism against chaos. For my part, new management has instructed me to inject falsehoods and bias into a politically sensitive story. Okay, do tell. Does he tell? No, he doesn't. I've been told to include assertions that are unverified. To date, in every case, I have managed to ignore these instructions or refuse them. Wow, what about that, huh? How's that for an open mind? I am ignoring what you want me to do or refuse them. Recently, politicians have been invited to choose correspondents for interviews on the broadcast. Okay, now this is really petty stuff. First of all, these correspondents, they fight tooth and nail to get certain interviews. And there was a lot of jealousy between this guy and Steve Kroft. I remember Steve Kroft. Anybody remember him? They wanted, he always got the Obama interviews. He got Obama. And let's see, and nobody else. And Obama liked him. I want to go with Steve this time. Giving politicians control over 60 Minutes interviews is not how honest journalism is done. Control? That's not control. That's a preference. That's a preference. Well, I mean, does he owe the interview to 60 Minutes, or does he want to do an interview with a person? Finally, incompetence and unprofessionalism in the new management have wreaked havoc. In a case involving one of my stories, the entire program came within 19 minutes of not getting on the air at all. Oh my gosh, 19 minutes. Are you kidding? I've 19 seconds, 19 milliseconds. It's called deadline. It's called the deadline, Scott. This is what happens when you are not in the real world for too long. Very vain guy, by the way. It goes back to my theory. Do not trust these older men. There are plenty of exceptions. But when you got a guy who's in his 60s who looks as good as this guy does, right? He's got a picture. I mean, he's buff. He's buff. At 60 Minutes, we have fought harder than anyone knows to save the program that became an American icon. We owed that to our millions of viewers. I am deeply moved by the thousands of wishes we have received to keep up the good fight. Keep up the good fight. What does that mean? Keep up the good fight. It's always a lame kind of. Most of my colleagues at CBS News are still in that fight. Way to single them out. They don't want any shout outs from you right now, Scotty. But now the collapse of values at the top has become untenable. The leadership of 60 Minutes is no longer recognizable. Well, yeah, it changed. The principles I hold dear are gone, and so I must leave as well. Well, you already got fired, huh? You got fired last night. We all saw this thing. And you put this out this morning, busted. Wow. I would have fired him for just sounding the way he sounds. Right? You got to fire him just for sounding like this. Cut 13.
You say you lost your evening news job because you were complaining about hostile work environments?
That's true. Several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I went to the president of the news division and explained to him that this hostile work environment couldn't go on for women and men. And he told me if I kept agitating about that internally, then I'd lose my job. And I went to his boss, who told me that he didn't share my concerns. And so, having exhausted the possibilities in the news division, I went to the chairman of the CBS Corporation, who listened to me very concerned for an hour, asked me some penetrating questions about what was going on. I didn't hear back from him, but in the next opportunity in my contract, I was let go from the evening news.
Well, you kept your job. When was this guy the anchor of that show? Nobody even noticed when he was. So that's in 2019. Let's see here. He said 4 or 5 years ago, he made that noise. That interview was in 2019. 4 or 5 years ago, prior to that, was 2014. He lost his job in 2017. I think he's playing a game, and it doesn't really matter. He does have a nice watch. You know what kind of watch he wears? He wears a blue-faced Daytona. Not the platinum, not the light blue, not the turquoise, but the blue, which is rare. Rare. Once you start putting on that kind of jewelry on your wrist, you run the risk. You do run the risk of losing touch. Be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, those Tunnel to Towers commercials are really moving. They really are powerful. I'm looking at Captain Sachs, who died in a helicopter crash, and his amazing wife there, and they do good stuff, the Tunnel to Towers people. And he looks like a lot of guys I used to know. Just, that's a good stuff, good stuff. Tunnel to Towers, T2T.org. Henry Novak. One of the problems with this story is the name Novak. It's N-O-W-A-K, but it's pronounced Novak. And here is the British news. You know, they were reluctant to tell this story initially, because it was a white man who was involved in an altercation, they said, with a person of Indian descent. The individual of Indian descent initiated a stabbing attack on Henry, who happens to be white. The cops show up, and immediately they put Henry, who's bleeding to death, on the ground in handcuffs because the assailant spoke up first and said, "Oh, he assaulted me with racist words." And that was enough to get him put in handcuffs. Racist words, somehow more serious than a stab wound. Cut one, if you don't mind, please. Cut one.
Heading for a night out with his university football teammates in Southampton, this was Henry Novak last December. He's seen on CCTV later making his way back to his student accommodation, but he never made it. The 18-year-old was stabbed multiple times.
Yikes. And then the cops show up. Now, if you listen carefully, you can hear some of the dialogue. You'll hear the guy say racist. He's a racist. And that's why they put Henry Novak, 18 years old, in handcuffs and move him around on the ground like a sack of potatoes while he's bleeding from the head, face, and breast and chest. Cut two, if you don't mind. Cut two.
My turban off, so I grabbed on my head.
Are you injured?
Yeah, I've got swollen eye, a little bruise.
All right, just step back a little bit for me. Someone flag these down.
Got this stabbed.
Right, let's get you out of there, shall we?
I was in bed, sleeping. My neighbour just found me up there, look, someone's attacked me. I can't breathe.
Grab his other arm.
Oh my gosh, it's ugly. It's ugly. The first voice you heard, yeah, I'm cut here, right here. That's the stabber. He's pointing to non-wounds. He's not injured. He's pointing to his face, but nothing's wrong with it. Cut three, if you don't mind.
Come running around the corner.
What's happened to you, alright? You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? I don't think you have, mate.
That's what. And then you've got nothing. I want to keep you up.
They're putting him in handcuffs. The guy who got stabbed.
Put the hand in the cuff, mate. Yeah.
This is like.
Bad. Very, very, very bad. Just heartbreaking. Gosh. And he dies. Now, here's the magic word, though. You'll hear it. Racist. He's a racist. The man who's bleeding to death that you put in handcuffs said something racist. He didn't, by the way. Cut 4.
Times this has happened to us. You've been walking the park. Nothing happens.
Did you hear that? It's hard. It's right there. It's no big deal. It's there. It's there, and that's all it took. Now the father is. Oh wait, actually, they actually almost they pronounce him dead seconds later. Cut 5.
He's saying he's been stabbed. So
where is it you think you've been stabbed? In the face.
What's your name, mate? At the moment, you are under arrest. That's for assault. So you do not have to say anything. May harm in defence. If you do not mention when questioned, someone will you later line of court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. All right? He's going to be sick, I think.
Sick. He's going to be dead.
I just want you to call it.
You need to call it. That's it. That's when you pronounce him dead. What time is it? Now, one more thing here. The father of Henry Novak spoke so beautifully and powerfully. So yesterday, the stabber, pretty quick. I'll have it when we come back. This happened late last year, and the guy's already been convicted of murder and will spend 21 years to life in prison. I guess that's one little component of what they're doing there in the UK. That's okay. Be right back.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here? Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.